Kia ora everyone, and welcome to the ACE RMO 2026 Palmerston North Hospital webinar. So my name is Sam and I am the ACE RMO consultant. Today we're going to start off with an opening karakia by Dr. Janine Stevens, and then I will give everyone a brief outline of what you can expect this evening.
Thanks, Sam. Whakataka hau ki te uru, whakataka hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi aki ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, te hei, moi ora.
Kia ora. Thank you so much. So thank you again for our panelists for joining today. I know time and capacity is very precious, so we really do appreciate you being here today to share this information with our attendees. And again, thanks to our attendees for joining today. It is really great to have you all here. So before we move into our panelist introductions, I will give you a brief outline of what you can look forward to. So our panelists will take you through a presentation covering some really key information about their district and opportunities that are available. And you will also hear directly from district representatives and RMOs who will be able to share their experiences working at the hospital on a day-to-day basis and what you can expect. Towards the end of the session, we will have a live Q&A session. So there is a Q&A box. You should see it above your screen, the little icon. You're more than welcome to pop your questions into this Q&A box throughout the webinar, but just to note that we will only answer these questions towards the end. I just wanted to say this is really a great opportunity for you to ask your questions and have them answered on the spot. So don't hesitate to post any questions you may have. I'll hand over to our panelists to introduce themselves and take you through their presentation.
Thank you, Sam. I'm Christine Wood and I'm the manager of the Medical Administration Unit here in Palmerston North. Our district is called Mid Central, so if you see Mid Central or Palmerston North, that's who we're talking about. And it's my pleasure to have you all attending tonight to listen to our presentation.
Hello, my name is Cheyenne. I'm a PGY1 who is also here as a TI.
Hi, my name's Asa. I'm also PGY1 and I was also here as a TI.
Kia ora everyone, my name's Hannah. I'm one of the PGY3 house officers now at Palmerston North. So I came up here for my PGY1 year after doing TI in Christchurch and have been here ever since.
Kia ora koutou, ko Janine Stevens tōkoinga. I'm a public health medicine specialist here at Mid Central, and I'm also one of 6 pre-vocational educational supervisors who will be helping those people that join our team throughout their 2 years, and I'm also the Director of Medical Training, so I have a lot to do with the medical education side. Kia ora.
So a bit about Palmerston North. It's located in the Manawatu, so Lower North Island. It's a great central location for exploring lots of other places in the North Island. And there's lots of outdoors really close by, lots of mountain ranges, and there's the Riverside walking path and lots of sports as well.
So just on the sports part, because I'm pretty into playing sports, there's the Sports Manawatu page, which has pretty much every sport and club laid out for you. So if you're keen on like badminton, football, you just click on it and you can find out how to get involved in those sports really easily. What Hannah said is right. There's heaps of places to go from Palmy because it's so central. Like you can do heaps of hikes like Tongariro. It's close to Napier, Hastings, New Plymouth, Wellington, Taupo. So me and my mates go to like all these places, like play some golf, hang out, do some hikes. Like it's really, really easy to do. So even though my mates are up in Auckland and Wellington, it's really easy to meet up with them on the weekends.
Yeah, so in terms of Palmerston North, just in terms of where it's located, it's quite nice because, like Shai was saying, like it's quite central. And then in terms of the city itself, it's quite nice in terms of getting around because in terms of all the suburbs around, they're all quite close to the hospital, so you're never really too far from wherever you live getting to the hospital. I drive into the hospital, it's only 10 minutes. There's never really any traffic. A lot of people live right near the hospital. There's a lot of accommodation near there, and it's just a walk. And a lot of people actually also cycle to work as well because it's quite easy compared to some of the bigger cities where it can be quite difficult in terms of cycling and trying to get public transport into work as well.
And if you're keen to save money, Palmy's really, really good because house prices and rent is way cheaper than like Auckland or Wellington or any of the other big cities. And I live really close to the hospital, and the rent we pay is, I don't want to disclose it, but it's way cheaper than what the equivalent in Wellington, Christchurch, or Auckland. So if you're keen on saving money, this is a great place to move to.
I guess another point is, like I said on the slide, it's quite nice, like it says there with regarding the airports and the gyms. The airport's really close. Like from the hospital, it's about a 5 minute drive. Yeah. And the furthest you're going to drive in anywhere from Palmy to the airport, I'd say is about 15 to 20 minutes, which is really nice. And just in terms of gyms, so many gyms located in the city on the outskirts. So whatever you need in the city is always a close drive or even walk.
And there's also a fitness passport, which you can get through Te Whatu Ora, I think, which is like 15 a week. And it gives you access to like heaps of different gyms, as well as like the Lido Aquatic Centre if you like saunas, swimming, spa. So you can save a lot of money in that aspect as well.
Cafes and bars and restaurants.
Real nice cafes. There's heaps of cafes, and they're all pretty bougie, and there's some nice ones in the Hokowhitu, which is a nice suburb in Palmy.
And lots of different ethnic cuisine as well, isn't there? Like, no matter what type of food you like to eat, there's lots of different opportunities and options.
Oh yeah, there's gyms. And some foodie places. So the region that Palmerston North Hospital covers is quite large. So for some things like oncology, we cover all the way across to Hawke's Bay and Taranaki, as well as Palmy. So a huge area, which means you see lots of people, lots of different conditions. There's a lot of pathology in Palmerston North Hospital. So it makes for a very interesting time as a junior doctor. And although there's a few things that we ship out, like cardiothoracics and neurosurgery, we do a lot here. And so you get to see and do a lot. And because it's smaller, you get to do a lot as a house officer. You're not just doing paperwork all day. You get to go to minor ops, you get to go to theatre, you get to go to clinics, which I think that's a huge pull to Palmy, is that it feels real, like the hospital doesn't feel so big and overwhelming. Like it's quite, like you get to know people so fast. So I think that's part of the reason I wanted to stay as well, because it's intimidating as starting as a house officer. It's so scary. And just knowing that, like, because I was a TI here, knowing who the med regs are and the surg regs is like, just makes referrals and calling people way less daunting. So I like the small hospital vibe. Yeah, because even if you haven't been here as a TI, once you come here, you learn everyone pretty quick. Like, after a quarter of working here, I knew most of the med regs, most of the surg regs, and then it makes making those phone calls a lot easier. And everyone's really friendly, so making phone calls is nowhere near as daunting as it was in Christchurch, as a general rule.
And many of my interns that talk to me about it sort of talk about it's the right size. It's not too big, but it's also not too small. So you are really well supported. Once you start working nights and things, you do have registrars and things working with you. So you're not alone. So I think it has the best of both worlds in terms of that. You can still get to know everyone, but you're not sort of left to try and manage things that you feel you don't feel supported enough. So it's good.
So there's a summary of all of the runs that you can do here. As you can see, there's a huge variety, and you get lots of say into what you want to do. So although you don't 100% get what you want, they will do their best to make sure you do get what you want. It's a lot more flexible compared to other places in terms of getting different runs.
And our recruiter's really good at remembering what people want. She makes notes of it. So maybe you don't get what you wanted exactly at the beginning, but then if that run becomes available later on, she'll come and talk to you and say, look, this run's available now. Are you keen to still do it? Or people change their minds during the year. You might think you really want to do orthopedics and you put yourself down to do it, and then you realise actually there's something else you'd rather do. So we try and be as flexible as we can to meet your needs, both in terms of just, immediate needs, like what you want to do this year, but also in terms of what's going to help you with your future career aspirations.
So everyone in PGY1 only does nights from 3:15, and when you're on nights, there's registrars on site, so you're not on your own. And then there's a huge variety of PGY2 runs depending on what you want to do. Lots of medical subspecialties, O&G and paediatrics, which you can do with the diplomas here as well, which is a really good opportunity. So you do 6-month runs in O&G or paediatrics if you want to do the diploma.
And kind of leading on to what I mentioned earlier about the nice size, like you have all these different runs in different departments, and because of how small the teams can be. You get to know all the regs and consultants really well when you do run a certain department. So it means later on, if you want to do that running as a reg or like interested in that career, it's really easier to just talk about like career progression, further opportunities, because since the departments are much smaller and you have a bigger hospital, it might be a bit harder to get in contact with people in the departments.
It's a very good hospital to step up in. I've got lots of friends that have started stepping up because they have done the runs that they want to earlier on, and easy to get in with the department, and then you can find yourself a job as a reg.
So your 8 applications, obviously all of you will be working on those now, and just, you know, a reminder, just don't leave it too late, don't leave it to the last minute, make sure you're talking to your referees, etc. I like a cover letter to sort of say specifically what it is that interests you about Palmerston North, if you've got links to the city or the region, or it's just a region you're interested in exploring, or sometimes people will say, I've got friends and family in Wellington, but I want to be close to them, but not too close, all of those sorts of things. And in your CV, there should be some information about you as a person as well as your qualifications. So I want to know what your hobbies are, what sorts of part-time jobs you might have had while you've been studying, or, you know, other things that you do to fill your time when you're not studying to be a doctor. Appreciate that takes a lot of your time, but I guess what we want to see is that you've got some work-life balance, because in your first year in particular, you need to have something that you do outside of work. Otherwise, I think it can be a bit overwhelming. We don't interview, but we really do encourage you to reach out to us for a conversation, or if you're going to be in the area, to come for a visit. I'll link you in with other house officers who are here so that you can have a chat to someone and find out what it's really like, not my version of what it's like. And I'm always happy to chat to you on the phone or do a webinar or whatever, a Teams meeting, whatever's going to work for you. If any of you are interested in being considered for part-time positions, we welcome conversations about that, but it would be great to have a conversation about what you'd be looking for in a part-time role before your application comes in, just so that we can have time to talk to you about what it is you're looking for.
Oh, what else makes Mid Central special? So there's lots of different things. We have a really good teaching session here, so twice a week. It's run at lunchtime from 12 to 1, and it's run by a PGY 2 or 3 house officer, and so it's very much tailored to what is useful for PGY 1 house officers in particular, and practical things that are useful on the ward, and there's lots of opportunity for feedback. So if you particularly feel like you want a teaching session on a specific thing, we will make it happen. We have a pre-vocational educational supervisor who identifies as Māori, and so if you mention that in your application, you can be aligned with them. And we also have trainee interns in Palmerston Hospital. As Asa and Shai said, they were trainee interns here, and so as a PGY 1 house officer, you'll sometimes be buddied with them, which gives you a good chance to start teaching other people as well as learning yourself. And there's malignant hypothermia in Palmy as well. If you're interested in anaesthetics, that could be interesting.
It's just one of those quirky things, but it's quite specific to our area because there was a large Māori family from Otaki who has the gene. And so we do the testing for the whole country for malignant hypothermia. So that's just a quirky, interesting thing.
So orientation week. So everyone, when you first start here, you will get a whole week where you come in every day, and it's just focused on orientating you to Palmerston Hospital, to what it's going to be like. You get the chance to meet all of your fellow PGY 1s, as well as lots of the more senior house officers as well. And different house officers, registrars and consultants will run different sessions on all the things that you'll need to know when you start out on the ward. So prescribing on MedChart, medicals, all our various special computer systems, all our various special forms, because Palmy is special and you have lots of different things to learn, but we run through everything in the first week. We also have the opportunity to do buddy shifts. So in O week, you'll have a long day where you will join in on one of the other house officers doing a long day. And then we also run a buddy system. So when you first start working, you won't be on your own for your first long day. You'll have a buddy there who will just be working with the two. It's like a 1-to-2 ratio. So there'll be 2 of you to 1 more senior house officer who you can just ask any questions at all, so that it's a little less daunting. And that happens for everyone's first long day. And as part of orientation week as well, the last day of the week, so on Friday, you'll spend the whole day with the team that you're going to be on. So that acts as like a good handover where you get to know the consultant, the reg, the patients, and the nurses in the ward before you start on your first day.
Did you find that worked well this year, doing that on the Friday?
It was quite nice because it meant that you had the house officer there already, so you could just directly also talk to the house officer in terms of these are the patients, this is how my job runs. Because I guess it's a bit different talking to consultant or reg because you don't directly do what they do. So having the house who's been there for the last whole run was quite nice. And then at least on Monday it wasn't like, oh, I don't know how. So that was really good for me, like that.
Other specific things here. So as we said, lots of opportunities. It's easy to step up as a reg. You can do the ONG and paediatric diplomas here, which are really great. You can't do it in all hospitals, but you can do them here through Otago or Auckland. You can also in third year do ICU, SHO, where you're essentially on the same roster as the registrars. So that's a really good step up opportunity to start being more independent. And it's good for if you want to do ICU or anaesthetics or even like med regging in the future. We do 6-month placement. You can do a 6-month placement in the emergency department, same as ONG and paediatrics, which if you're interested in any of those things, gives you really good experience. And in second year, you can be a medical education house officer. So that's the person that runs all the teaching and also gives you lots of opportunities to, work in medical education, which is a good opportunity. The funding is really good here. It's like relatively easy to get courses funded, things like the diplomas, things like
GCSE, some of the PATH diplomas.
Yeah.
Anything that's going to support your career pathways, we will support you to do in PGY2.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing ED or ICU, we'll support you through things like basic and stuff like that.
Trauma courses and things like that.
So as long as you can justify that it aligns with your career progression, you should get it funded, which is great.
Going to talk about our community-based attachments as well. I think we're pretty proud of what we've managed to achieve here in Mid Central. So we have quite a few general practices ranging from small 1 or 2 GP type size practices right through to big family health centres with multiple teams of GPs and nurses and multidisciplinary teams. So if you want to do general practice, we've got loads of opportunities for you. But one of those is in a rural place, so not in Palmerston North, further out if that's what you're interested in. We've got 2 who are Māori iwi providers, so if you've got an interest in that space, we can work on that. We also have a hospice attachment in community, which I didn't know much about, but we had a presentation from one of the house officers once. It sounds brilliant. It sort of had in-hospice type stuff. It also had community support type work where you're consulting with general practitioners who are caring for patients in palliative care in the community. So you're providing a kind of a consult service, but also a service into the hospital providing palliative care support into hospital patients. So there's sort of 3 parts to that one, and it sounds really good. And also we have a St John Ambulance CBA, which was unique. I'm not sure whether anybody else is doing it in the country, but we've certainly been doing it the longest. Very popular, lots of great feedback. It's not for everyone. As a public health medicine specialist, I couldn't think of anything worse. It terrifies me. But how fascinating. The paramedics, you work with advanced paramedics going to the higher acuity kind of work and on the paramedic trucks. And everybody I've spoken to, and I've had quite a number of interns that I've supervised that have done the placement. St John's are awesome with debriefing and things like that because, and people talk about the privilege it is to work in the patient's environment as opposed to the patients coming to us, which is what happens in most other health environments. But we're working in their environment, whether that's a roadside, someone's home, back of a farm, whatever, that's the patient's environment. So we've got lots of opportunities with general practice. If you're interested in the career in general practice, we're very supportive of anybody wanting to do that. Yeah, we probably don't have time to go into it all here, but there are ways for you to do more than just a little bit of general practice. You can do more of it, and we can also support, once people have got through PGY 1 and 2, support people to go and work in general practice to really get a feel for it if they're not sure about joining the training program yet or whatever. We've got lots of connections with our general practice colleagues, so it's a great place to explore community medicine if that's what you are interested in. So
John's ambulance run, just to go back to that, seems to have created its own little pathway where people will do that run, do some ED, potentially then move into ICU anaesthetics if that's their area. So it really does seem to set people up well for that sort of more trauma-based career as well.
And people that are interested in working in rural centres where actually as a general practitioner in a smaller centre, you might be one of the first responders and things like that. So it just, and And St John's have come back to us saying that they really enjoy it as well because it provides some continuity. They then see house officers who have done St John's, they see them in ED, and they've got, they've developed some really good relationships. So it seems to work for everyone. So
okay, we already talked about a lot of this, but this is the medical education stuff, the protected teaching time, which actually is protected here. I know lots of other places it's not actually protected teaching, but when you go to teaching with your lunch, your pager gets taken by the medical education house officer, and unless it's like a met call, you do not have to go to it. We will deal with it so that you can actually go to teaching and enjoy it. You can also do TI teaching sessions. So our training interns have teaching once a week, and we often are looking for house officers to join that. And it's a great place to teach them about any of your special interests or things that will be useful for them as well. Grand rounds for different specialties happen every week, and you get the opportunity to do a presentation at surgical grand rounds, but you also get the opportunity to listen to other consultants or registrars presenting. And then depending on what rotation you're on, so especially ED, PEDS, O&G, all have their own unique teaching sessions, often run by the consultants and the registrars, which you're encouraged to attend and which are very valuable. And then we have a library here as well, which is a great study space, but also has lots of good resources for whatever you're interested in learning more about. So we have a computer room, which is shown in the top left. The bottom middle is the RMO room, and then top right is the sleep room, which is so good on night shifts. I've just come off night shifts. Wellbeing, leave is pretty flexible here, so you pretty much just sit down and talk to them, and if you give a good reason and give them enough notice, they'll give you the time off. And especially if you're flexible, like if you just are burnt out and need a week off, they will let you have a week off. They'll just fit it in with time that kind of works for them, which can be really helpful. A lot easier than my friends in other parts of the country. Then intern meetings. So they happen once a quarter, I think. Where you get to meet with the MAU and our educational supervisors, as well as with the RDA and Stones representatives, so you can raise issues and actually get action from the issues that you raise, which provides a very constructive forum for making the life of interns even better.
The most important thing, of course, is food. The food here in Palmy is really good. I mean, it's coming from experience, never been to other hospitals in clinical years and just talking to other people, there's a really good wide range in terms of the food, which is quite nice. And it's real nice, just one less thing to think about, in terms of like bringing your own food. Great range. And I've had no complaints. I think it's everyone loves the food here. It's quite nice here. As you can see on the slides, good range, I think, in terms of like meals and just the snacks as well you can grab.
They always have multiple vegetarian and gluten-free options if you work well with the dietary requirement, and everyone eats together in the cafe. It's very welcoming and collegial. You can debrief, you can get your mid-reg consult, and you also do get meals on night shift, so you just order whatever you want, so of all of the above things, and then it'll get delivered and is there for you on your night shift, which is great. Social events, the boys were just telling me they haven't had any yet this year, but we will work on organising social events. So often we have balls every year, most years I should say. We have a ball that we organise for.
But the houses hang out because there's not that many of us, so you know everyone's name and like you're pretty close. So do smaller hangouts with the houses.
You're same as a volleyball team?
We have a volleyball team. Like you can do whatever you want. You can make a netball team, hang out at the bar. There's options.
We have often been quiz teams as well. I'm not sure if there are any at the moment, but some of the mid-regs are quite competitive in the quiz bar.
The pay is good. That stands in no matter where you are.
So. I guess the important thing to know is that when you are a PGY 1, most of your runs will either be a category D or a category C. So that just gives you a little bit of an indication.
And house prices are really affordable. So Cheyenne was saying the rent is really affordable, but so is buying a house. Me and my partner bought a house at PGY 1 year, which is a great investment and isn't possible in lots of other cities in the country. So easy commute to work. So that's like the furthest you can get in Palmy from the hospital, and it's still only a 12-minute drive, which really just sums up how easy it is to get around. And it's really flat, so easy for biking or walking as well. Palmy's a very easy city to live in, minimal traffic, short commute, really friendly, collegial environment. You won't regret coming here because you'll meet some great people and you'll have a great experience. Tasty food, affordable housing, good teaching program, lots of opportunities for clinical growth and education, lots of practical procedures. You get to do a lot compared to bigger hospitals, so you should definitely consider coming here. It's not the most up to date with technology, but it's getting better. We have people working on making it better. So we've now got electronic charting, which is new since I started. We've now got phones instead of pages after hours, which again is new since I started, and make life a lot easier.
And I guess it says Corn, like, not a bustling city, but at the end of the day, it is what you make out of it, you know, like a lot of us do get involved in sports, like, you know, hang out on the weekends with each other and stuff. And as it says, there is also the opportunity to go to other places as well. So yeah, definitely can make the most out of it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a student city, so it does have a lot of activities because there are a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I grew up in Palmerston North and I moved away for 20 years, never thought I'd ever come back, but best thing I ever did. It is, and you know, people said it's really easy.
Easy was very livable
so
city.
Very livable. And like these guys were saying, you can go away for a weekend anywhere in the lower half of the North Island, really, very easily. Everything's within.
And there's flights regularly to
We've got good airport.
to Christchurch, and there's some smaller
And
flights.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Where my farm is.
So just to our attendees, just a reminder that there is a Q&A box above your screen. So if you've got any burning questions, please can you pop them into the Q&A box and you will have them answered right on the spot. There's been a few common questions that have come through from previous webinars, and most of them you've actually really covered off. So I guess the one thing you mentioned about public transport and travel and how close everything is, what is the arrangements in terms of parking if they do have a car? Is there a place where they can lock up their bikes if they're going to bike into work? Maybe we can touch a little bit on that.
Where you can park your bikes, there's a couple of different places and there's their keypad entry, so we can provide those to people. Parking on site is a little bit of a challenge because we've got quite a bit of new builds going on, which is reducing some of our staff parking. So in terms of a regular day-to-day staff parking for a car, you're mostly going to be parking in the surrounding streets. However, we are very soon, I believe, going to have a specific long day parking area. So that means when people are coming in at 7:30 or 8 in the morning and not leaving till 10:30 at night, there will be a specific place where they can park, and they'll be given a specific pass that allows them to do that. So that will be really good when it happens, and I believe it's not too far away.
I drive in every day to work. I've had no issues with the off-site parking. Like,
Yeah,
it's
same.
and it's only a couple of minutes walk on into the hospital. So yeah, there's no issues for me personally.
Yeah, lots of options for parking close by, even though it's not quite on site, but lots of free street parking. It's a couple of minutes walk and it's free all day parking, and I've had no issues as well.
Our public transport, our buses are all electric here, so there have been no change to the timetables in the fuel crisis because we do have a fully electric fleet. I don't know, do any of them come directly past the hospital?
Yeah, there's
quite a few. Yeah, I don't know because I live in the country, kind of on the edge of town, so I have to drive. But
there's a bus stop at the main entrance of the hospital.
Nice. So there are obviously multiple bus routes that can come past.
Christine, you had mentioned about applicants that perhaps you don't do interviews, but you're really keen if they wanted to visit or telephone calls, etc. So is it best for them to contact the contact details that are on the ACE RMO website under the employer information section?
That would be the best place to go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So just to our attendees, maybe if you joined a little bit late, if you are interested in wanting to arrange a visit or potentially just have a phone conversation with the RMO unit representatives, you can just go over to the ACE RMO website. There is a section under the employer information tab that you'll find all the details and contact numbers there. If you had any advice, or at least one piece of advice, having been through the ACE RMO process previously, what would you suggest or advise our applicants?
I guess with one big thing, was like with references, and just in terms of organising application timing was like I had my elective Q3, so I just had to make sure I had everything sorted before my elective, because if you're going overseas like I did, it might be a bit difficult for you in terms of getting some of these references, and also just things like getting documents certified, all that kind of stuff. So the earlier you can sort it, the better. Then that's stress gone, rather than trying to sort it getting closer to the deadline.
I'd say if you want certainty and where you're going next year, if you put Palmy at the top of your list, you're far more likely to get it than if you put other places in the country at the top of your list. So if you're trying to plan your life, it can be a good idea.
Attendees, if you have any other questions that's related to the ACE application process at all, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me via phone or email. All my details are also available on the ACE RMO website. So I just, again, wanted to say a big thank you for your time today. As I said, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was really informative. And thanks to our attendees for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Sam, and thanks everyone who is here as attendees. We can't see you, but we're glad you came. And thanks to everybody else that's here in this room, and to you, Sam, for making it happen. Kia whakaaria te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia turu ki whakataha ai, kia turu ki whakataha ai. Haumie, huie, tai here.
Thank you, and have a lovely evening, everyone.
Ka kite.
Thank you.
Bye.